Morning.
All right, Vince Orza back with us, OCU Minders School of Business. We tried to do the numbers on the economy last week, had a few technical glitches. We have got it fixed and raring to go here.
We're going to see if the computer can move as fast as I can talk.
Well, let me get out of the way here.
Well, Ed, we always talk about the economy. You know, the old adage is if you laid all the economists of the world end to end, they'd never reach a conclusion. So assume a lot of people are going to disagree with some of the things we have. But the current recession, Ed, is the longest in 25 years. And if it lasts until April, guess what? It'll be the longest since the Depression. The problem is the business community is concerned, and the small business community's confidence level is at a 28-year low. Why? Partly because the government is loaning so much money. Everybody's asking, how are they going to repay $4 trillion in commitments? I love this. You know, Alexander Hamilton started the U.S. Treasury with nothing. That's the closest we've been since then. Here's what we know, that the government is borrowing from the Treasury, and they're going to have to pay that back, or they're going to sell bonds, or we're going to sell it to other countries. That's a problem. We don't know where we're going to repay this from. But it is not the Great Depression. What we know is in the Depression, the unemployment rate was about 25%. Today, it's about 6.5%, almost 7%. In terms of the stock market, one of the 3 or 4 worst. Now the computer's ahead of me. One of the 3 or 4 worst since the 1970s. But it's not the worst. The one back in the 70s was actually worst of all, other than the Great Depression. The real problem is current credit problems. Your personal credit, your credit cards, car loans, we haven't even gotten to that problem yet. We've been talking about mortgages. And then there's the housing problem. The GM bailout we talked about, they want to borrow a lot of money. They already owe a lot of money. Can they repay it? And if they go under, what happens to the suppliers? Well, they take a lot of suppliers down with them, and that's a real problem nationwide. But you can't make GM keep doing what they're doing and expect anything to change. They're not going to get thrown out of business. A bankruptcy judge is probably going to let them keep operating, but something's got to change at GM. In terms of the housing market, look at this. 18.6 million vacant homes. That's the highest level since the 1960s. 3% of all the mortgages in America are at least 3 months past due. That's double the rate for last year, and it's estimated it will double again next year. 1 in 6 homeowners actually owes more on their house than it's worth. And then if you look at home prices, they've literally dropped about 16.6% in the third quarter. That was on top of the 15.1% last quarter. And by the way, in Oklahoma, our housing market is actually better than the rest of the country's, but it's beginning to slow down as well because the houses are on the market a little bit longer and there's a larger inventory of houses. Then go to personal bankruptcies. Well, guess what? Personal bankruptcies up 8% in October to about 109,000. That's the highest since the bankruptcy laws were changed about 5 years ago. Unemployment rate, you know, again, the highest since 1993. Unemployment claims at a 26-year high. CEOs are worried, and they have said, quote, they're going to slash more jobs, literally 60% of them. Retail sales, lousy. Trade, lousy. The Oklahoma banking community, again, better than the rest of the country. Small banks pay a little more attention. What's booming in Oklahoma? Gambling. And then there is the oil industry, which is still kind of the strength of our economy, even though it's suffering right now. So all in all, we're certainly better here in Oklahoma than the rest of the country. Here's one oddball thing. The silver lining in the economy. Yeah. Hormel Foods is operating 2 shifts a day, 7 days a week to meet the demand for Spam.
That tells you where we're at.
That tells you where we are. That's a whirlwind tour of the economy. And Southwest Airlines, they are literally up 100% for bookings to Washington, D.C. for the inaugural of President-elect Obama. So there's a bright spot in the economy. Everybody's flying to Washington.
Still looks like there are going to be big parties in Washington despite the economy.
Government spends money no matter what.
All right. Vince, we do appreciate it.
You bet.
You talk fast, click even faster. We'll be right back.